Let's go, Razorback Nation. It's been a while since I've done a hog video because I wanted to see how this transfer portal was actually going to shape out for you guys. Because as many of you know, you have been repeatedly told that the Razorbacks program is in a lot of trouble because you've had the second most amount of transfers hit the portal, only behind Texas A&M. But there is one ranking system that actually has you guys number one in the SEC when it comes to the portal. We'll get to that in just a second. But for right now, I actually went through and took a look at a few players that you guys have brought in. You've hit the linebacker position with your latest pickup from Cincinnati. More on that in just a second. But a player that really stood out to me at a huge position of need for Arkansas is tight end. And who I want to talk about is number 30 right here, who has one of the most interesting names I've ever heard, Var'Keyes Gumms, okay? I like him a lot as a receiving tight end. It's going to be interesting to see if he can block in the SEC. But you see him right here, just a quick little film study. They're in 12 personnel. Notice they have a traditional tight end with his hand in the dirt, and Var'Keyes is over here. And with the game on the line right here, they're running two goes right here, go here, and they're running an out and up with Var'Keyes with these go routes clearing out. And Austin Oon, I believe, is a 29-year-old quarterback or something like that. He does a good job rolling out and hitting Var'Keyes in stride. And when you look at him, with the number 30 and the Alvin Kamara turf tape on the other side of his arms, he kind of looks like a running back, and he is really good after the catch. So can he be someone that steps in right away? And maybe Arkansas can get creative and run more 12 personnel next year. So let's take a look at a few other portal addies. Let's go. So Arkansas, on both sides of the football, needed a lot of work to be done in the transfer portal. And one guy that should help them out, at least in terms of depth, is Trajan Jeffcoat, who was a freshman all the way back in 2018. And this clip is actually from 2020. So he played as a true freshman in 2018. Then 2019, he redshirted. Then in 2020, obviously that was a Rona year. So now this is his final year of eligibility. I know the arrow is pointing here, but this is him getting some pressure. It did help that the tackle did not engage with him at all on the protection assignment. But on this next snap, you will see him defend the run. So obviously, you take a look at what Arkansas did in terms of depth in the portal. They not only get Jeffcoat, who is very experienced, and he's just flat out older than the competition. You also get both of the Jaheims, the DB out of Georgia, who should help them out immediately, and then the latest linebacker out of Cincinnati, who we referenced just a minute ago. So right now you are taking a look at a good number of the portal guys that Arkansas has brought in. Now remember, there was a high number of Razorback players that left, and once again, that number is in the high 20s. You don't like that. You don't like to see that roster churn and turnaround, if you will. But one thing that I do think is very critical to look at when you see a number of players that enter the portal is how many of these guys are actually good. And to be honest, outside of Trey Knox, Jalen Catalon, and a few others, Arkansas lost a lot of portalees that were high school recruits that were 3 stars and really just never got going at the U of A. So, in terms of portal losses, yes, of course, you don't ever like to see that many players leave, but as you guys have seen just with these graphics here, there's a lot of dead weight that was moved on. Boom! I'm looking at you. And before we move on, I want to tell you about our friends at Underdog Fantasy. Sign up today, promo code Carter. They have baseball, basketball, And, oh yeah, that sport called football. That promo code Deposit Match Bonus goes a long way in helping out the Power Hour SEC movement. Now, before I reveal this ranking system that has Arkansas number 1, let's be very clear about dead weight. I know that sounds very cruel because, look, I want every player to live his dream at whichever school, and I hope everybody plays and is just good and jolly. But the God's to honest truth here is some guys just aren't meant to play SEC football. They are Conference USA players or just even D2, D3 players, and that is perfectly fine. So, look, the simple truth is Arkansas lost a lot of guys. Obviously, Catalan, Knox that were decent players, but there's quite a few guys that were just never going to play in the SEC, and getting some fresh blood that has some proven college film out there is obviously a very good thing. And look, some of these guys I think are just okay guys, including Jeffcoat. I think he's going to give you some decent snaps, but he's not going to be somebody truly spectacular like a Dietrich Wise, if you will. But I think you are getting some guys that you can at least trust to be, at the very least, a rotational player. And getting depth in the SEC is by far the most important thing, especially at a school like Arkansas. Now, does Arkansas have the number 1 rated class when it comes to transfers in the SEC? According to 247, they do not. In fact, 247 has them at number 8, which is still pretty good, and behind Auburn and LSU. And if you take a look at their rankings overall on the 247 Sports Composite, or just the 247 Sports Transfer Portal rankings, you see that they are ahead of Ole Miss and Florida. But what I would like to show you is On3 has Arkansas as the number 1 team in the SEC and number 4 overall nationally. Now, of course, recruiting services has their own metrics, but what's interesting is On3 makes their rankings very clear that they are doing what's called an index score, which is essentially weighting what you have lost compared to what you've gained. Okay, so what their metric is basically not only calculating is how many good players you brought in, but what is it compared to what you've lost? Now, this is what is really interesting about this service's rankings is Arkansas has only brought in 15 guys, but they have lost 29. Now, if you were to just go up to just some random Joe Schmo and said, hey, Arkansas, they have lost 29 guys, but they've only brought in 15, you would think, oh my goodness, Arkansas is in a disastrous mode right now. But the truth, once again, on this index, and then just actually looking at the players that left, is actually Arkansas is doing just fine. And remember, earlier in the year, and let's just take a look at just the SEC. I want you to see this right here. This is absolutely ridiculous. Colorado, 56 guys out, 35 guys in. Very interesting, okay? Now, let's take a look at just the SEC, and you'll once again see Arkansas number 1. Isn't it crazy with the transfer portal? I don't think I would ever have seen a recruiting ranking ever having Arkansas as a number 1 team, but this is where we are right now with the current day and age, and Arkansas is killing everybody in the SEC when it comes to the actual score. But this is Power Hour SEC. I want you to comment down below which side of the football do you think Arkansas needs more help on, offense or defense. But I also want you, because look, we have general people from all SEC teams watch this channel. I believe LSU's transfer portal haul that they brought in, it's absolutely absurd. They have destroyed it, and there are more players coming, including some potential Louisiana players making a homecoming from other schools. LSU also brought in all Pac-12 linebacker Omar Spates, who I think is a better linebacker than anyone Arkansas's brought in up to this point. So I would say LSU's got a better transfer portal class than Arkansas. I also like what Ole Miss did, getting 2 pretty daggum good quarterbacks, one a former 5-star Walker Howard and another in Spencer Sanders, who is a fifth-year, four-year starter at quarterback. And I'm also low-key one team that's really shocked me in the portal has been Florida. They get the safety from Michigan, Moulton, who Arkansas was after. They were able to get Cameron Jackson from North Louisiana, a really talented nose tackle to come over. So up to this point right now, I would say those schools are within the realm of Arkansas. And I would say LSU and Ole Miss's Halls in particular have been better. Ole Miss also got the linebacker from Louisville. Here's one thing I will say about the portal just as a whole. I think this is good for the Arkansas of the world. I know the defense was bad last year for Arkansas, and you do have some fresh blood in there with T-Rob now. And my question to you would be, how much worse would that defense have been without the transfers, without McLaughlin, without Drew Sanders, without Terry Hampton, go Wildcats? The defense would have been horrible, beyond horrible. The transfer portal evens out the competition, and it makes things more competitive for the Arkansas of the world that aren't able to bring in 9 5-stars out of high school in a recruiting class. So I love the portal. I do. I know it drives people crazy. It drives me crazy as well with some of the aspects of it, but I do think it helps out. Now, I will say this. When I was doing some research for this piece today, I saw one of the players, I won't say who, one Arkansas player do quite a few interviews with media with this old team saying how excited he was to go back, and then he still bolts. I've seen that a lot. That sucks, especially for the non-Power 5 schools, but that is just the nature of the beast. I'm looking at you right now. If you had a better opportunity to better yourself somewhere else, you would leave your current job right here and right now. It's just how it is. So, let me know what you guys think down below. It is Power Hour SEC Bam! And tonight, we are doing some tacos. It's Tuesday. Let's go.